Before we get into this one, if you could hit that sub button below, that would mean a great amount to me because we're trying to hit that big 1,000 subscribers this year. But let's get straight into the video. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the transfer window and the reaction to it more than anything. And we'll get straight into it because a lot of Leeds fans on Twitter, and I know Twitter is very reactionary, very the first thing that comes into your head you tweet, but a lot of people have been complaining about the business that we've done. So the first thing I want to say is you've got to take into account how much they have already invested in this team. Since we came up, we've spent 150 million. Now, you can argue whether that's wisely spent or not, but when it comes down to it, everybody knows that not every transfer will work. And there's teams higher up the league who are spending a lot more money than us on players that do not work. Take Jadon Sancho to Man United, for example. At the moment, it hasn't worked, and they spent 70, 80 million pounds on him. So when you take that into account, it's not the end of the world if you've bought a Rodrigo for 27 million. Given that he's our record signing, it seems worse, but he could still come good, and he's not been horrendous. He's been a good asset to have, and he's been a good sort of replacement for Pablo, if you will. Now, we are still looking for that replacement for Pablo, but just because we didn't get it in this window doesn't mean that we're going to go down and it's the end of the world. Everybody is complaining and everybody is getting really upset because we haven't signed anyone, and it does look bad because we're in a bad position in the league. We haven't been doing great this season. We've never really been able to string a run of results together. The Burnley game and the one after it, which was West Ham away, was the only times we've won back-to-back this season. So, yeah, it seems like we're in a bit of a precarious position, and we are. But you can't forget that this team got us to 9th last season. So the personnel that we have in it is more than capable of getting up the league. Now, injuries are the biggest thing this season. And I have talked about before how sometimes I think we should just splash the money. We should just spend whatever the person's asking within reason in the January window to replace that Pablo role and some of the players that are injured, like i.e. getting an extra right back in because we've just lost another one as well. So it does look bad, and I have said in the past, yeah, we should be trying to force this through, but it's not happened. I wanted a signing, don't get me wrong, I wanted a signing as much as the next Leeds fan, but because we didn't get one, it doesn't mean that we need to just suddenly go crazy and lose all our faith in the board, in Kinnear, in Radrizzani and in Orta, because they have done us well so far. They've got us back to the Premier League, and Bielsa's stringent rules in which he signs somebody. Now, I have actually done a video on this, so if you click the card up there, that'll take you to it. And it's Leeds United's Transfers Explained, and it's basically the 4 or 5 things that we have, the criteria that we have when signing a player. And it's stringent, and it is beyond what, and probably what a Newcastle are doing at the moment. They are looking at a player and thinking, he's good, let's get him in the team, not will he fit Howe's system in 2 or 3 years. Like Chris Wood, for example, he's not going to fit their system. He's going to be dead wood, for want of a better pun, in the next few years, because he's just a stopgap to try and keep them up. Our board are trying to think more long term, and I think we've got to give them credit for that. I think we have got to give them a lot of credit for that. A lot of other teams, like I say, your Newcastles, your Man Uniteds, they've got no strategy, they've got no future plans. They just buy a player because they think, oh, he's good. Whereas we're trying to find people that fit the system. And Brendan Aronson, who I've also done a video on, and we're going to go back in for him in the summer, and I think he would be a fantastic signing because he is such a good Bielsa player. His pressing, his running, his shot-creating actions, which I explain all in that video, would be massive for our midfield. And yeah, we can go back in for him in the summer, but I would rather do that than, for example, go to the Championship and go and get somebody like a Lewis O'Brien, who is never really going to be a long-term solution. So I think that's what the club's trying to do, and I think that's the reason we haven't signed anyone. A, they don't want to spend beyond what they think is reasonable because they still believe that this team can keep us up, which it can, and we should just be okay once the injuries come back. I don't think we'll go down. And the second one is that we could go back in for them in the summer because of number one, because they don't think we're going to go down. They could go back in for him in the summer, cancel out that January premium, and the contract will be less, 6 months less when they go in for him in the summer. So everybody will be looking back in hindsight in the summer if we make some good midfield signings, a holding midfielder and an attacking midfielder and potentially a backup striker. If we can make those 3 signings in summer, everybody will be a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more happy. Because I think it's just the injury crisis that's making everybody panic. When you actually get all those unfit players back into the team, when you've got Calvin, Forshaw, and Dallas in midfield, or Calvin, Forshaw and Rodrigo in midfield. You've got Bamford back up top. You've got Rafinha on the right, Harrison on the left, maybe James coming on as a backup. The team is good. It's a good team, and it's a lot better than the likes of what Newcastle were before they signed these new players, what Watford are, what Norwich are, what Burnley are. We've got a better team than all of those teams. So we should be fine, and everybody just needs to calm down a little and stop jumping down the throat of the board and of the people in charge, because, like I say, they have got a long-term plan, and we've got to give them credit for that. We have got to give them credit for that. So, yeah, I just wanted to come back on here. I haven't made a video in about 2 weeks because international break, and I just wanted to have a little break from videos, but I will be back on it now. But I wanted to make this video because I have seen a lot of reactions on Twitter to this that are just, like I say, very reactionary. People saying, like, we should get rid of our board, we should get rid of... When I say board, you know what I mean. I mean Kinnear, Radrizzani, Orta. We should get rid of them because they're not doing a good job. But in the end, they've been doing a really good job for 3 years, 4 years, and they've got us up to the Premier League. So, excuse my dog barking. Somebody's clearly at the door. Yeah, so they've got us back up to the Premier League, and what more can we ask for other than to stay up? And I think we will. So I'll see you in the next one, and that will be a reaction to the Villa game, or maybe some pre-match stuff as well. See you next time.